Have you ever wondered what life was like in ancient Egypt beyond the pyramids and pharaohs? Well, ancient Egypt, one of humanity's earliest civilizations, holds many fascinating and sometimes bizarre curiosities that are rarely mentioned. Let's embark together on a journey through time and discover some peculiarities of the ancient world that might shock our modern sensibilities. First, let's talk about cats. Yes, those felines that are so common in our homes today played a fundamental role in Egyptian society. Besides protecting granaries and fields from rats, they were considered magical beings that brought good luck. And do you know what happened when a cat died? Their owners would shave off their eyebrows as a sign of mourning. This practice symbolized deep sorrow for the loss of such a revered animal. Cats were adorned with jewelry and treated as family members, and their death was mourned like that of a loved one. Now, imagine the contraceptive methods of the time. Women used crocodile feces as a natural spermicide, believing that the alkaline pH of the substance would prevent pregnancy, something surprisingly similar to modern spermicides. And men? They rubbed onion juice on their foreskins to avoid fertility. These practices may seem strange today, but they show how innovative the Egyptians were in their quest for birth control. Speaking of fertility, did you know that to test if a woman was fertile, Egyptians would apply oil to her body and leave it until the next day? If the oil remained fresh the following day, it indicated fertility. Another bizarre technique involved placing a clove of garlic in the woman's vagina overnight. If she had garlic breath the next day, it meant she was fertile. This belief was based on the idea that the body was an interconnected system, and the garlic scent traveling through the body to the mouth was a sign that everything was functioning perfectly. And what about lice? They were such a serious problem that most Egyptians shaved their heads and wore wigs. This practice was also adopted by women, who, besides wigs, wore wax cones on top of their heads to shape their hair as the wax melted. Lice were a constant plague, and shaving the head was the most effective way to combat them. Wigs, in turn, were not only practical but also a symbol of status and beauty. And the flies? Imagine being surrounded by naked slaves covered in honey to attract and distract the flies. This was the solution found by King Pepi to get rid of the annoying insects. He believed that by covering the slaves with honey, the flies would be attracted to them and leave the king in peace. This peculiar tactic shows how inventive and sometimes cruel pest control methods could be. Incest was also a common practice, especially among the royalty. Pharaohs and their family members often married each other to keep the divine blood pure. DNA analyses have confirmed these practices, showing that many pharaohs were the result of incestuous relationships. This practice aimed to preserve the sacred lineage and ensure that power and divinity remained within the family. The genetic implications, however, were severe, resulting in many deformities and health problems. And what about beauty? Egyptian women used lead-based makeup, believing that the gods Horus and Ra protected them from eye infections. This practice, though dangerous, was common and considered beneficial for health. Lead, in low concentrations, helped stimulate the immune system, providing additional defense against infections, especially in a time when antibiotics did not yet exist. And beer? It was a staple of the Egyptian diet, enjoyed by everyone, including children. It was not only a daily beverage, but also served as a remedy for various illnesses and as an offering to the gods. Each temple had a brewery and a bakery that produced large quantities of beer and bread, destined for offerings and consumption by the priests. Beer was so valued that it was often used as currency and as payment to workers. To finish, did you know that the pyramids were not built by slaves? In fact, the workers were paid and treated with respect, to the point of having their tombs near those of the pharaohs. This shows that these workers were highly valued and respected, receiving honors that would be unthinkable for mere slaves. Their tombs often contained personal artifacts and inscriptions that celebrated their lives and contributions. These are just some of the many fascinating curiosities of ancient Egypt. If you enjoyed these stories, leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any curious content. See you next time.